Please have a seat. Thank you. And take a moment just to make sure your cell phones are off. That'd be much appreciated. Thank you. When I was in high school, back in the day, 1981 to 1986, we had 4 seasons of sports. I played all 4. Played soccer, then volleyball, then badminton, and track and field. And every one of my coaches, every single one, was terrible. And the reason they were terrible was because they didn't like coaching and they didn't care. My soccer coach skipped every third practice. My volleyball coach was uninterested in all sports. My badminton coach, instead of coaching us, just loved to beat us. And the track and field coach didn't really like kids. This is all true, which is why I am so jealous of all you athletes in this room. Because you have coaches who care. They may have different levels of expertise, from the super experienced to those coaching their sport for the very first time, but they all have 2 crucial things in common. They care about your sport, and they care about you. Come to think of it, I don't have many memories of my high school sports days, and it's because the coaches I had weren't trying their hardest to give me the best experience possible. They were just punching the clock, waiting for the year to end. Well, your coaches, the coaches up here, are not like that at all. They're completely the opposite. Sometimes they even care more than you do. And for that, I hope you sincerely thank them either tonight or at some point before the end of the school year. Look them in the eye and really, honestly, thank them, because you're lucky to have coaches that care this much. And while we're on this subject of caring, there are lots of other people who care and who make Stanstead athletics really roll. Mrs. Perot and Mrs. Underhill in the health center, our physiotherapist, Ms. Boudreau, our maintenance and laundry staff, our drivers and our kitchen staff, and last but not least, Ms. Alta Sheldon, who lives and breathes Stanstead athletics as much as anyone in this room. That's a lot of people that care about you, and they deserve a real, sincere round of applause. Now, before I introduce our first speaker of the evening, let's get to what you've all really been waiting for, the winner of the year-long All-Campus League. So yesterday, after physics class, Will Huckins and Anna asked me, what would they get if their team won All-Campus? Like some kind of prize? Like maybe free dress? I told them, forget it. There's no prize. There's no free dress. What you get is pride. Pride in knowing that after competing in 14 different sports over the course of the entire school year, that your team laid a beat down on the other 3 teams. Pride. And one other thing, the winning all-campus team will have its name engraved on the Scowen Trophy, a trophy that has been awarded every year at Stanstead for the past 56 years, awarded to either North, South, East, or West. Who will it be this year? With 50 points earned on last Friday's All-Campus Day, giving them a total of 108 points for the year, this year's All-Campus champions are South. Congratulations to South. Will the captains of South please come forward to take a photo with the Scowen Trophy? Photo right over here. So the first speaker tonight will be Commissioner Kirby, who will talk about intramural softball. But before she comes forward, I'd like to say a few words about her co-commissioner, Mr. Phillip. As some of you know, this is Mr. Phillip's last sports assembly. He is retiring from the teaching profession at the end of this year. So retiring from teaching in 10 days. I mentioned in my opening remarks about coaches who care. Mr. Phillip is a shining example of this. He took over the softball program when he came to the school 7 years ago, and I can't imagine anyone being more driven, more detail-oriented, more enthusiastic, or more committed during that time. The draft, the statistics, the rankings, always on top of things, never letting things slide, and always sticking up for his program if he felt softball was somehow getting the short end of the stick. There's no half measures with Mr. Phillip. And 7 years ago, he said to himself, if I'm going to do softball, I'm going to do it to the best of my ability. Well, Mr. Phillip, that's what you did. It's been a great 7 years. Thank you. Fantastic. Fantastic. Okay, here we go. First program of the night, intramural softball, Miss Kirby.
We're gonna put that there. No, teaching. Okay, thank you. I'm not quite as tall as Mr. Van Dyke. Softball has always been a sport that I enjoy playing, coaching, and watching others play. This year was no different. Softball as a sport is not so much about individual skill or athleticism, but emphasis is placed on leadership, communication, and teamwork. This is why softball is such a great intramural sport. The goal of intramural sport, for me, is to be active, have fun, improve your knowledge of the game, and skill of the game working as a team. This season, I believe we really accomplished this goal. This year, we had 63 players, over 5 teams, the Expos, Royals, Blue Jays, Cardinals, and Athletics. This was 17 more players than we had last year. For the first time in several years, we needed more than 4 teams. So the Athletics came back. Mr. Phillip and I enjoyed the group we had this year. We had students that never played softball before, returning students from last year, and other students who played elsewhere but here. What I enjoyed the most about coaching this year, as last, is having more experienced players coaching less experienced players. First off, I'd like to thank the captains of our teams, Andrew, Oscar, Austin, Henry, Marianne, Hugo, Marie-Ange, Tanya, Nicholas Pecora, and Nicholas Solomon for their work this season. Without them, things would not have run as smoothly. Secondly, I'd like to thank all of the players for not complaining too much for running when it was raining, and we did a lot of that this season. Thirdly, I'd like to thank Alta for taking control of the softball box as usual, and for the players for returning their equipment as asked. And lastly, I'd like to thank the maintenance crew for doing our lines. So finally, the standings and awards for the season. During the regular season, the teams played between 10 and 11 games. In 5th place, we have the Expos with 1 win and 10 losses. In 4th place, we have the Royals with 3 wins and 8 losses. In 3rd place, we have the Blue Jays with 5 wins and 5 losses. In 2nd place, we have the Cardinals with 7 wins and 4 losses. And of course, in 1st place, we have the Athletics with 11 wins and 0 losses. This year, the standings changed after the playoffs. I want to congratulate the Blue Jays for winning their game against the Cardinals, putting them in second place. And I would like to congratulate the Athletics for defending their first place standing. I would like the captains of the Athletics to come forward on behalf of their team to accept the trophy. This year, we had 10 home run hitters. Before giving out the awards, we would like to congratulate Hugo Lecavalier, Nicholas Pecora, and Nicholas Solomon for being the top 3 home run leaders, as well as Alex Gray for being the only girl with home runs. This year, we're giving out 3 awards, 2 MVP awards for Best Female and Best Male, and the 3rd award is for sportsmanship. I would ask that all recipients come up together to take a photo. The recipients of the MVP awards are not only good at softball, but have an attitude that is conducive to the game. Their motivation and commitment to their teams were second to none. Their teams really wouldn't have been as successful without their leaderships. Congratulations to Alex Gray and Nicholas Solomon for MVP. The 3rd award is for sportsmanship. The recipient of this award was a pleasure to have on and off the field again this year. Not only are his skills improving, but he is passionate about the game. He was always positive and encouraging to not only his team, but others as well. He has a true understanding of the meaning of intramural sport. Congratulations to Nicholas Pecora. Lastly, I'd just like to say a couple words to thank Mr. Phillip. Really, he's been such an inspiring coach, and I thought I knew everything about coaching softball, from teaching young adults to, in my life, teaching adults. And I'd really like to thank him for teaching me more about the game in my 2 years here, and I'm really going to try my best to do as best as I can. Thank you.
Speaking for junior girls rugby, Mr. Underhill.
First thing I got to get through is a couple of important thank yous to give out. First being to Alta for everything that she's done, Mr. Van Dyke for organizing our season, getting us as many games as he did, the nursing staff, my wife, Jose too, absolutely, Stefan for organizing our drivers, Jean, Olivier for not only being great drivers but great fans at all of our games. A real special thank you needs to go out to my assistant coach, Gagne, over in the corner there. He joined the school late in the year and immediately got into coaching rugby, even with the busy schedule and trying to figure out the realities of teaching at Stanstead College. I can't understate how great he's been as an assistant. He's been amazing to work with, and he's been a really good friend over the season, so thank you very much. So, the last practice that we had this year, one of the final things I said to this junior girls rugby team, not thing, sorry. One of the last things I said to that team is, I after all my years of coaching, I really thought that they were special, but I really struggled to articulate what I really meant by that. And I'd like to rectify that right now, and in doing so, kind of give you an overview of the season as well as let you know the type of girls that were on this team. What makes them special is not just the fact that they went from a team with absolutely zero experience, struggling to pass a ball, to actually ending their season by beating the undefeated and vastly more experienced Richmond in the semifinals to give us that unexpected berth into the finals. Nor is it that last play of our opening tournament game in Montreal, where you guys kept the ball alive for what seemed like an eternity to score the go-ahead try to win our first game. It isn't even the result of being blown out by BCS at the beginning of the year to returning that favor to them in our last tournament of the year. Which, by the way, that was pretty awesome. I don't know if you've ever watched Junior Girls BCS, but they have this cheer that they do. Last game that we went to play them, I said, ladies, you have to beat them. I don't want to see that cheer again. They did it, thank God. All right. All those moments were absolutely amazing, and they're going to be something that I remember for quite some time. But those moments alone aren't what make that team special. To me, what made these ladies really special is the fact that despite the fact that they were facing bigger, more experienced teams who had been together for a longer time than us, it didn't matter. This team, no matter who you put in front of them, believed that they could win. And it's not only they believed that they could win, they would put in the effort to win. Not the effort that day just to win that game, they put in the effort every practice to be better. This team made tremendous strides from where they began, and I can't begin to state how proud I am and how far they've come. I hope you're as proud of your season as I am proud of it for you. You guys are an exceptional group. You pushed each other, you pushed yourselves. I sincerely hope that you stick with this sport because given the kind of people that you are, I truly believe you will be great at it. So I encourage you all to come up now and get your pins. You've deserved it. Quickly transitioning to the awards. We have two awards that we'll be giving out. One is the Sportsmanship Award, the other is the Junior S. I ask that you just, both of you, wait until I've finished speaking before you both come up and get your awards. Firstly, the Sportsmanship Award this year goes to an individual who joined the team knowing that they would never play. And it's not due to ability at all. I would have loved to have had this girl in the field because I've seen her in action before, but unfortunately, due to a bad concussion last year, she was unable to. But despite this, she came to me at the beginning of the year and she said, Mr. Underhill, can I join the rugby team? I know I can't play, but I will help set up drills. I'll come to the games and cheer. I'll carry the equipment. I'll do whatever you need. Just can I be on the team? And I believe that says a lot about this person. And I was really grateful for her positive attitude and desire to encourage and support her teammates. The Sportsmanship Award goes to Yas Queen herself, Jasmine Richter. The Junior S, this was very, very tough. There's a strong case that could be made for nearly every girl on this team to be awarded the Junior S. It made this very, very difficult, but in the end we settled on one. Offensively, this player made a number of big runs and had a real knack for keeping the ball alive, and as a result created scoring opportunities for everyone else on the team. Defensively, she was an exceptional tackler. She kept the team organized and always pushed her teammates to do better. She led by example, which is the best kind of leader you could ask for on the field. It is with great pleasure and pride that I award the Junior S to Alexa Mondragon.
Junior boys rugby, Dr. Standage.
Good evening. I'd like to echo Mr. Van Dyke's thanks of the too numerous to mention people who make this program work. In particular, Alta, of course, who we depend on every day for the equipment and the uniform. Nothing ever goes wrong there. I'd like to thank Mr. Wells for yet another year of ably assisting me. I noticed looking at those photographs tonight that were handed out at supper, we've been doing this for a while. The grey hairs are obviously growing every year. And I'd like to thank Mr. Van Dyke for making everything work behind the scenes. Everything seems to tick along very efficiently now. This season, every season, of course, throws up a unique sort of combination of personalities and situations, but this season in particular has been particularly special. For the first time in living memory, as far as I know, the junior boys and the junior girls had something to compete for, other than pride, which apparently is very important. This year we had the banner to compete for, and we had a trophy to compete for, and I don't want to talk through the whole season because what I want to do is get to the end where magical things happened. We had a pretty poor start. It was obvious that we could beat Massey-Vanier on any given day, whatever the weather, and that was mostly rain. But BCS and Richmond were the teams that we were going to be measuring ourselves against. Both of those teams had more players, bigger players, faster players, stronger players, and were well coached. So that was the standard we were obviously up against. The turning point of the season was probably our trip to Concordia for the Sevens, and again, we haven't been there for a whole bunch of years. So that was another special feature of this season. We got to go out there and compete against some different schools and some pretty powerful schools in the rugby world. We acquitted ourselves quite this year. I remember back in the day, we rarely won a game there, but this year we came out with a record of 2-2, which was as good as I think was ever done. And it certainly set us up for the final part of the season when we came back for our last jamboree just after May break and finally beat Richmond. We didn't beat BCS up to that point. So when we came to the playoffs, we were seeded third. And many of you would have seen those playoff games out in the rain on the football field. The first game, we again made things difficult for us with a little help from the ref, and we ended up at half-time 12 points down. Now, for those of you who know Sevens rugby, it's very quick games. They're very short, 7 minutes a half, and it's over. So 12 points at half-time is really hard to come back from. But the key thing about this team that we're most proud of, Mr. Wells are very proud of this team, is they didn't quit. And they came out all guns firing on the second half and managed to win the game against a team they hadn't beaten yet with the final play of the game to put us into the final. And we were sitting pretty at that point. We were just beating this BCS team at last, and we were facing a Richmond team which we'd just beaten the previous week. So we were looking very optimistic at that point. The rain, of course, was an equalizer and helps on all occasions. So the second game against Richmond, now that was a tough game. Both BCS and Richmond had way more subs than we did. We had 2 subs on that particular day because of all our injuries, and Richmond had another team sitting on the bench. That game was an epic game, and by the end of time we got to the end of full time, we were tied. We were still tied at the end of the first overtime. And we were still tied as the main sudden death part of overtime was coming, when of course many of you will remember Kieran's getting the ball from Matt Johnson right at the end there, and he did his wriggle and his squirm and his pirouette, and if you ask him about it, I'm sure he'll demonstrate it again. And before finally managing to get the ball down in the try zone for the winning sudden death try. So that will last forever. The first time we've had a playoff is at Stanstead College. It was in front of our own crowd, and you boys never quit. Playing over 20 minutes of rugby with sevens rugby with just 2 subs, that win was sheer determination and will to win, and you guys should be proud of what you did. So please come up, get your pins. You thoroughly deserved it. Now, just to say for the awards, I think the real award is this pin, because Kieran may have scored the winning try on that final game against Richmond, but there were so many tackles made in that game that if they hadn't happened, Richmond would have scored and it would have been all over. So even though Kieran got the winning try, he was put there by every member on this team, and that's what this pin represents to you guys, yep. However, we always have to do awards, and there are always people who are above and beyond and stand out from the team, and that's what we like to recognize. The first award I want to do is the Sportsmanship Award. This goes to a guy from grade 8 who was one of the smallest guys on the team, but I noticed at Concordia when we were playing some big guys, some big tough guys, this guy never quit, and he was always willing to play any position we put him. He was kind of a utility player like that. He played a lot of the season at scrum half, and so the first Sportsmanship Award I'd like to award to Jaden Mullins. Well done. The Junior S Awards, the first Junior S is a player also from grade 8. Also, I noticed at Concordia, was not scared of anybody bigger than he was. He was out there getting stuck in. He was probably the smallest prop in all the games we played in our league and at Concordia, and yet our scrums held their own. We were not weak on our scrums. So for his toughness, his determination to win, and his fearlessness, the first Junior S will go to Alexi Daniel. The next 2 awards are more obvious. I've talked about that winning try in the final game there. But Kieran came a long way during that season. He was a little one-dimensional early in the season. He'd get the ball and he'd try and run through everybody. And he had the toughness and the speed, but teams catch on to that pretty quickly. And so throughout the season, you could see him develop a more nuanced attitude to the game, and he picked up all the different aspects, how to spread the ball wide, how to position better. And of course, he's always going to remember that last final play of the final game. So the second junior S goes to Kieran Gallant. Well done. And I guess the third one is even more obvious than that. Matt Johnson has some real legs on him. The coaching at the beginning of the season when we were learning the game was really give the ball to Matt and let him run past everybody, because that was what we ended up doing. We ended up relying on him to score an awful lot of tries and keep us in games which we're either winning easily or keep us competitive with those other two teams. He didn't shine as much in the final, and that's because the teams catch on, eh? They realized that he was the guy to watch and put their best players on him. The point about that is that gave the rest of the team space to shine, and that's what happened. In that final game, everybody stepped up. So for his speed, his toughness, Mr. Grenier is going to really enjoy having this guy next year if he comes back. Matt Johnson, well done. Everybody come up, yep. Thank you.
Now to the first program of the night that can award Major S awards. Lacrosse, Monsieur Chadet.